Sean, I want to do an either or with you in terms of the futures market, looking at one team that's hot and one team that is not. Of these two futures, the New York Mets to miss the playoffs at plus 270, or the Houston Astros to win the AL pennant at plus 410, which are you more interested in? The Mets, as I mentioned, they're in a nosedive, 3 and 13 across their last 16. Six times since mid-June, they've been shut out or held to just one run, so their lineup has been ice cold. The Astros, meanwhile, have a red hot pitching staff. They went 5-1 against the Cubs and Phillies in recent series, giving up a grand total of 8 runs across those 6 games. And now they have the best home record in the majors. So, one more time for you, the Mets to miss the playoffs at plus 270, or the Astros to keep this rolling and to win the AL pennant at just north of 4-1. Which one do you like better?
I would say there's definitely more value on the Astros pennant bet. If you look around the projection market for the Mets, the lowest projection has them still making the playoffs about 75, 76% of the time. Basically, on average, everybody else has them closer to 80%, 82%. So I think the Mets are still a pretty safe playoff team. That said, you look at the standings in the National League, the NL Central may be the best division in baseball at this point. I know we talked a lot about the NL West earlier in the year. The Padres, the Giants, and the D-backs have all kind of fallen off a little bit, and the Brewers, Cardinals, Reds, and Cubs are all above 500. So now the NL Central is the division with four teams better than 500, and frankly, all on the heels of the Mets, all four of those teams. So when you suss out the National League, when you consider that the Braves may still not be dead in the water, I know Chris Sale went down, but they're still going to remain competitive throughout the end of the season. There are 8, 9, 10, 11 potential playoff teams in the National League still all vying for three wild card positions, 8 teams vying for three wild card positions. So, yeah, I do think the National League is extremely competitive. Mathematically, projections say the Mets should be a safe team, but I do worry considering they still can't find a left-handed reliever. They keep cycling these guys in and out since Danny Young and AJ Minter went down. Genesis Cabrera came and went. Padilla came and went. They just ended up acquiring Poche, I believe, who's doing their left-handed relief now, but also Sean Manaea got shut back down. Starting pitching has been a significant concern. You've seen Blackburn and Montas come up for them, come back from injury for them, and get absolutely shelled. So the Mets starting rotation is a big concern. The Mets and Dodgers have used more pitchers this year than any other teams. They both used like 54 or 55 pitchers on the season. So just new arms constantly for these teams, which to one point, yes, like it means you've had a lot of injuries. To another, it means that you're keeping your best arms fresh for the end of the season. You're not pushing anybody too aggressively early on. But, the projections say the Mets should still be a playoff team. Here's my concern with the Astros. What is the status of Yordan Alvarez? Because the Astros have the number one offense against left-handed pitching this year. They just do not hit righties particularly well. And a lot of that is because Yordan hasn't been healthy for them. And his status seems like it's kind of in doubt at this point. I haven't really received any positive updates on his injury status, but the American League does look much more wide open than the National League. I bet the Tigers raised pennant futures earlier in the season, pokes on those teams, thinking that the AL was wide open. Either of those teams could get past the Yankees come October. Detroit obviously looks like the best of the bunch at the moment, but I do think Houston, as they are every year, going to continue to be a threat come playoff time. Until Houston doesn't make the ALCS, it's kind of hard to pick against them making it there. They've done it every single year for like the past decade. So yeah, Houston is always dangerous. And, just mathematically, I think there's probably more value. Not interested in betting either one at this point in time, either the Mets to miss or the Astros to win the pennant. But of those two, I think I'd prefer Houston.